Some of you are starting to become more in awe of like the journey you've been on, the process that you have experienced up until this time, and you're starting to become more in awe of yourself as well. Okay? This is a collective that is feeling themselves and or is starting to feel themselves. I don't necessarily mean physically, okay, get your mind out of the gutter, although it could be. Listen, that's part of it. But this is a collective that I feel like is starting to feel more confident, starting to be more in attunement with themselves, starting to be more in awe of themselves, starting to admire themselves more, starting to just feel the weight of your power, okay? This is a collective that is recognizing how far they've come and like could even be starting to tune into their abilities to manifest now after a period of healing. So yeah, this is this collective that I feel like is seeing themselves differently. You're seeing yourself differently. You could be a Virgo. Okay, this is heavy manifestation energy. This is the energy of being able to use both powers that are available to you. Many fail in manifesting because they are only using one power or another power. They fail to combine the two powers that are available. In order to manifest, you have to tune into both the spiritual and the tangible, right? The esoteric, which is like this understanding, the energetic piece, but you also have to tune into the daily tasks that are required in order to bring this into fruition. This is a collective that's mastering the two. It's like you're starting to understand the energetic, esoteric aspect of manifestation, but you're also starting to do those daily things to bring yourself either more confidence or to move yourself closer to your goals. Okay? Yes, Guy. Tell me a little bit more about this. What do we need to know? What led my collective to this point? What led them to this point? So for many of you, there's something here about for a long time you were confused about something, but you're not confused anymore. So maybe you wasted a lot of your mental energy and acuity, your faculties. You were dedicating it to one specific situation. Maybe it was one specific person. Maybe, just maybe, you thought that your ability to manifest or your spiritual power was determined by your ability to acquire one person or a relationship with one person. And now that you recognize that maybe that's not all your powers are being used for, you're receiving those powers back in abundance and you're shifting them or reallocating them or redistributing them so that you can wield them more effectively. Okay? You are learning your ability to create, What is this collective seeking to create in love? Yeah, most of you want to particularly connect with a partner that makes you feel seen, that makes you feel alive, that you were excited to be connected to. For most of you within this collective, you're not wanting to waste your time in any relationships that feel temporary, transient, casual. You are definitely someone who has a high burden of proof in terms of wanting to really feel like you are connected. Like you could have heavy Scorpio in your chart, okay? Within this collective, I feel a lot of intensity. I feel a lot of intensity. I feel like you love like deeply and with a level of loyalty and determination that maybe others maybe don't understand, or maybe you feel like in your past like people could not match that depth of your love. But it's quite a sight to see. Like it's quite a beautiful exposition, but I feel like in the past maybe you didn't see it that way. Maybe you saw it as a detriment. Maybe you thought, wow, this exposition is being seen more like a freak show than a beautiful performance, and it's not getting the respect it deserves. Okay. I heard comeuppance. Yeah, some of you feel like, okay, when is my time to connect with someone who's going to match the depth of my love? Who is this collective connected to at this time? Some of you are connected to an energy from the past. Could be an earth sign. Okay. I feel like this is a relationship that you've gone back and forth in. Could also be an air sign. I have Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Okay. This energy from the past, it's like, yeah, this is somebody that craves your nurturing energy, craves your compassionate energy. I have a J initial, I have a D initial, and I have an M initial. Okay. J, D, M, S as well. This is somebody who I feel like did not take that opportunity with you in the past, or there's something about not being able to take a risk here with you. And yeah, feeling guilty about it. Maybe they feel like they sabotaged this relationship, or again, didn't experience the fullest potential. And they still, I feel like for many of you, this is somebody who was like, just was in that illusionary thinking in the past. Like they were stuck in illusionary thinking, and they were stuck on like old belief systems and old facades that I feel like was holding them back. Most of them were relative to them just accepting some level of suffering in their life that they didn't need to accept, in all honesty. Okay. I heard transactional. For some of you, this is somebody who thought love was transactional, who thought love was a power struggle. Maybe that's the way they viewed love growing up. And I feel like within this collective, you taught this person that it was not. The challenge is that sometimes to teach someone a lesson of this magnitude, it's very self-sacrificing. Because the example that you show them comes through your own self-sacrifice. It's like you showing them that love doesn't have to be transactional meant you giving a lot to this energy and feeling like they weren't fully reciprocating it. But you were demonstrating that in a way and in a sense because that was very natural to you. And it broke this old karmic contract for this energy. Like they were no longer being confined by the soul contract because they were then able to shift their beliefs based on a real world experience with you. But I feel for many of you, for a time, you saw this as I had to suffer so they had to succeed, or I had to feel discomfort so they had to feel comfort, or I had to be unhappy so they could find happiness. So for some of you, we have shifted the perspective here on the collective side. So you no longer look at this as something that was disempowering to you. You look back on this and you say, no, I chose to do this. Even if it was subconsciously, you did. You chose to do this. And many of you now are in the state in which you've forgiven this person. And for some of you as well, you recognize that you also had to give in this way in order for you to recognize to some extent that you were not receiving everything that you deserved, for you to eventually come to this conclusion that yes, that love was noble and it was meant to be given and it was meant to be offered. But once you also realized you weren't receiving back what you needed, it was also time to go. It also meant that that was not enough. So we both forgive this energy, but you also forgive yourself for the act of loving this person in the way that you did. Because you love this person down. You love this person. You love this person with your whole damn heart. You activated this person. You gave them all your passion. You gave them every aspect of yourself. Okay? And you did so to a degree, again, that was like very noble. You did so for the right reasons. But at some point, I feel like within this collective, you recognize that it was somewhat isolating. Okay? The current state of this relationship, I feel like, is finding a new state of balance. Both of you are experiencing a lot of memories right now. What does this person remember about you? All of the love that you offered, all of that exciting passion that the two of you shared. This person remembers how it felt like to be able to have a relationship in their life that inspired them. I feel for many of you, this could be no contact. I feel for a lot of you, this is someone you have not communicated with in some time. Okay? But this person remembers every aspect of your relationship, every moment that you spent together. And they are still being pulled towards you actively as we speak. This is somebody who is strongly feeling the pull of your feminine energy. And the feminine energy on your side is being strengthened by the healing work that you've been doing. The more you heal, the more you nurture that feminine energy. And for many of you, what a healed feminine energy looks like at this time is not fiercely hunting this person down or not seeking anything from them, not subjugating yourself or demoralizing yourself or degrading yourself by saying, I'm going to give you everything, and you can just return the favor whenever you're ready. Not anymore. Because you recognize that those resources are precious. They're precious. So the healed feminine energy on your side says, I will preserve and conserve this life-giving, vital energy that I now have the capacity to use within my manifestations, which you've now learned how to do, because again, we have reallocated our focus. What is my collective manifesting at this time? So first and foremost, I feel like this is a collective that after a period of a difficult time, because I will say for this collective, it hasn't been easy. You might even feel like recently you've been pulled back into this. So this is not a collective that has had like a single shot trajectory of like moving on up. Everything keeps getting better from here. It's like you have gone back and forth with this energy. You have felt pulled back into the waves, into the undertow. You thought you were out of it. You thought you were in the clear. You were like, yes, we're moving forward. Get out of here. Okay, I'm never thinking about you again. But now I feel like this is a collective that has experienced a lot of those, like I said, ups and downs, highs and lows. But now things do feel like they're starting to be a little bit more consistent, starting to be a little bit steadier. And some of you have just put behind you your last dark night of the soul, the last dark night of the soul that many of you weren't expecting. I feel this dark night of the soul. Hi, Maya. This dark night of the soul feels like it was a last-ditch effort essentially from the universe to help you heal anything final that was required in order for you to move forward to claim the abundance that you deserve. But recently you did go back into it, and I feel like when you got pulled back into it, it was this shadow phase. Some of you was the eclipse. Some of you it was not the last few weeks, but right prior. It was that final eclipse that brought you right back into it one last time. Maybe causing you to examine how there were still some patterns that you had that were showing up within this relationship or within your life. Maybe you were still watching this person to determine what they were doing. Maybe you're still spying on them. You were still inspecting their behavior. Maybe you were still waiting on a reunion, right? Maybe you realized with this last eclipse that that was something that you needed to purge, because waiting on something with this specific person, I feel for many of you, was keeping you guarded in other areas of your life, was preventing you from being vulnerable to things that actually required your vulnerability, to things that could also reciprocate that vulnerability. And I don't just mean like romantically. I mean in all aspects of your life. So I feel like within this last eclipse, we got this awareness, this awakening that told us that we do have to stop trying to revisit the past here in order to be able to, be reborn into the future. We have to stop focusing or watching someone else's life and focus our energy on our own life. And I feel for many of you, that was a big shift, because now you're ready to plant new seeds, and those seeds are going to germinate. Why? Because they're going to receive your focus. They're going to receive your focus. They're going to feel your strength. They're going to feel your presence, where for a time you were not present. Before that eclipse, and even leading up to it, I feel like we were not fully present. We were still kind of living in these two different lives. And that, of course, is going to dilute or divest our efforts, our energy, our strength, our ability to call in what we desire. And sometimes the universe will force us to make a big commitment either way. And the encouragement is always going to be to commit to yourself. Okay? What is this person's next action towards my collective? What do we need to know? Oh, damn. So here's the interesting thing in this collective. This is different than the collectives we've seen in the past weeks, okay? This is definitely someone that I feel like is open to receiving from you, or is starting to open up more to receiving something in terms of you coming forward, or you reaching out to them, or you requisitioning something from them. I just don't see them reaching out to you to do so, because for some of you, this is somebody who is concerned that that would be the wrong thing to do, or that you don't want to hear from them, or that you're not wanting anything with them, or that you're healing so you can actually move beyond them or let go of them. So for a lot of you, this is somebody who wants you to reach out, or who wants you to acknowledge them, or wants you to come forward. And I feel for many of you in this collective, this is somebody who's actually much more open to receiving than they were in the past, because they have put some energy into themselves. There has been growth in their side, definitely. And I also see this person has gone through a transformation that maybe you have not seen. Maybe you have not seen. But I feel like, yeah, they have not reached out to you. I see within this collective, this is not someone you've heard from. So if you're actively talking to this person, it's not this collective, okay? In this collective, this is somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, and somebody who has actually intentionally held back communication, because they were unsure whether or not they were still part of your view for your life. They were not sure whether you still saw them as part of your higher purpose. In many ways, they look to you as kind of like quantum leaping over them. And I don't feel like they're wrong, to be honest. Like listen, I'm going to talk to you like I'm your Auntie Mercy. That's why you're here, okay? It's the real tea. Like the real tea here is like, you have quantum leapt over this person. For many of you, you've accomplished many things just in this time of separation that I feel like are just a testament to how much you've outgrown this person, or at least what this connection was when you experienced it in the past. Okay, you have. And I feel for many of you, it's like you've got stars in your eyes. Like you are following this higher purpose. And you're starting to recognize as well, like the responsibility of your ancestors who are supporting you now, and just feeling this sense of being awakened to a new truth. So the reality is they actually are viewing you from a state that does feel accurate. I feel like it's not just them opting out. It's not just them like intentionally fumbling you or conceding defeat or not allowing themselves to step into their power. I actually feel on this person's side, their growth has allowed them to get to the place where they can actually see this from a perspective that is actually well-meaning, that actually considers you, Within this collective, most of you do question whether you do want to reunite with this person at all. Some of you do still think that you will reconnect in some capacity, but for most of you, yeah, many of you feel like maybe you've already received the healing benefit from this connection. Maybe you've already evolved beyond, okay? But there is an integration phase happening for some, okay? And I do feel for many of you, this is twin flame energy. That doesn't mean that you're meant to romantically reconcile. But I do feel like there is going to be some type of reconnection that allows the two of you to see how far you've come. Or allows the two of you to be able to have at least some type of culmination here, okay? What is this person's hopes in terms of reunion? Yeah, they want it. They want it. They definitely want it. This is definitely someone who I feel like wants it. But yeah, there's a big part of them that's like, do you? Do you? Okay? I feel like they really do feel at this time like they need to do something. They do. And I feel like they're teetering the balance. What will be their longer term action, like within the next month, by the end of the month of October? Damn. I feel like by the end of October, for some of you, you are going to get some type of sign from them. Could be that there's instability otherwise in their life. And it may at that time give you some type of confirmation that you would want to reconnect with them or acknowledge them in some way. There's something that they want to do or show to you. Like giving you some confirmation as well that they have actually grown. I feel for some of you, this is what I heard. There's something you guys talked about at some point that they were going to do. And maybe up until this time, they haven't fulfilled that. Hi, Gary. But yeah, I feel this energy of this person finally doing something that you talked about together. And it does feel like this is going to bring you a sense of pride. In some ways, it makes you feel like this person had an effect on you. And you had an effect on them. It provides this confirmation of the reward. Like the gift that came out of this. Outside, of course, the transformation that you experience on a personal level. This is somebody who basically is going to show you or tell you it wasn't all for nothing. Like your love gave me so much power. Your love allowed me to change and shift in a way that I never otherwise could. For some of you, you need to hear that. For some of you, you need to hear that this person received some type of benefit from your love or that your love changed them. Because I feel within this collective, many of you struggle with this. You struggle to think that they didn't care or they just like received this love and moved on like passionately to something else, or it was just, some type of conquest for them, which I don't see that it was. Okay. But when you don't get the full robust explanation or understanding, and you have this history of feeling maybe taken advantage of again because of that love that you offer, sometimes you can jump to conclusions. Okay. You can jump to conclusions. What is the long-term relationship purpose for this collective? See, I actually feel like this is a relationship that is meant to have, like I said, some type of renewal. Okay? For some of you, this could actually be as friends. Okay? Some of you in this room are going to be like, hell no! And listen, that's up to you. That is up to you. But for some of you, there is going to be some type of renewal here. Could be as friends, could be starting off slowly again, or could be just to reconnect, to show each other how far you've come. Because I do feel this energy of like, this is a relationship that is supposed to be in your life, but what capacity should it be in? For some of you romantically, this is going to be a challenging relationship, or this person maybe again, you see them differently when you reconnect. But it does feel like the two of you still feel very tied to each other. Like the soul tie is still very much connected. And it feels like the idea of never speaking again doesn't feel like it sits right with either of you. Like both of you feel like that's a travesty or that would be an injustice. But I also feel this like questioning as to whether there can be a romantic purpose. But yeah, there is still a contract there. Hi, Juju. Tell me a little bit more about what this person hopes the final outcome is for this relationship. They want the two of you to be able to fully open up to each other. Like they want to love you. This is tough. This is a really tough energy because you both love each other a lot. I feel like within this collective on your side, it's like you're struggling to some degree because you have waves. I feel like the energy of this person comes and goes. But there's also a big part of you that feels like you're meant to leave this behind. So I feel like you go back and forth. You go back and forth. Okay. Damn. So, any advice for this collective on their side? What do they need to know? Should they continue to be open to this relationship? Is this something we need to leave behind? Let's see. I mean, for many of you, I feel like staying connected to this person in a romantic capacity makes you doubt yourself, or like, again, in some ways diminishes your power. Simply because there's still some type of disappointment here from the past, or maybe even a truth that they're not willing to accept, right? So that's the challenge. It's like, we desire this, we want this, but then there's a big part of us here that I feel like is still questioning whether maybe we just need to give this more space, maybe we just need to continue to move on to greener pastures. So this is a collective that I feel like is really just in going back and forth in the thick of this, okay? That being said, you're not reaching out to this person currently. I don't see you focusing your energy on them. Where's this collective right now as it relates to this energy? So yeah, so you're putting all of your energy into your rebirth, okay? As we saw at the beginning, you're putting all the energy into your rebirth. And I also feel for some of you, there is some love here that maybe you're repressing, or some desires that you're repressing, but you feel like it's for the greater good. It's like, yeah, you kind of want to connect with them, but you're like, no. Let me just focus on growth. Let me focus on my growth, my expansion. For some of you as well, like you've just started to see an abundant harvest. You've just started to see that the seeds you've planted are now germinating, are now bearing fruit. So for many within this collective, it's like, yeah, you want to talk to this person, but something in you tells you that if you do, it might impede the growth that you've had, or set you back in some way, or cause you to open up old wounds. So I feel a little bit of trepidation, a little bit of cautiousness in your energy. And as well, for many of you, it's like you had all this bravery and this courage to be able to lead from a place of an open heart, to create a new beginning for yourself. So within this desire to create a new beginning for yourself, it's like that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to lead with your heart, to say, okay, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to move beyond this and hope that it pays off. Taking a gamble that it pays off. I'm going to continue to move forward. Jupiter energy. The only way forward, okay, is through it. We're going to move through it and onwards and upwards. Jupiter energy, okay? We seek growth. We seek expansion. We seek higher learning. We seek enlightenment. Jupiter energy. So because we felt like if we were here, yes, it would have just been a repeating cycle. We weren't learning anything new. You made a decision here to be able to focus your energy on healing and shifting beyond. And healing and shifting beyond. So there has been a cycle closure here already in terms of who you used to be in this relationship. And you're starting to see new growth. So the advice for this collective, what I would say is, if you're feeling a little weary right now, don't take that as an indication that you've made the wrong decision here. Sometimes we get pulled back into the wave because there's still something we have to examine within ourselves. Okay, there's still something we have to provide for within ourselves. But the truth is, you're also making the right decision in terms of standing on business. Like, listen to the song. Come and get your love, baby. The issue you had in the past with this person is that they were not standing up for this relationship. They were not fighting for you. They were not showing you what they desired. They were not stepping up. They were not showing you that confident divine masculine energy. They were not matching your courage. Okay? So yes, you can long for someone, but truthfully, for many of you, you don't long for the way the relationship was when you were left confused. You don't long for the way it felt when this person didn't step up or didn't choose the path or wasn't matching the energy you were bringing to the table. You don't long for that. And for many of you as well, it's like you were starting to feel like this is more of your normal state. So I feel like you've made the right decision. Sometimes this is a tough message, but this is the truth, okay? No truer words have ever been spoken. Sometimes making the right decision feels terrible. Transparently, making the right decision doesn't always feel good. Like, you can make the right decision and be like, why does this feel like it was the worst decision I could ever have made? Because sometimes in order to make the right decision, we have to go up against, old understandings and or like old identities that we have deeply ingrained within ourselves, or like old desires for quick validation from this person or from anyone else. Desire to people please, which frankly, I'm going to read y'all for filth right now. Like I can read myself. I'm going to read all y'all and I'll read myself and I'll read everyone for filth. Okay. People pleasing is actually not about pleasing the other person. Bam. I went there when I said that. Okay. People pleasing has never been about you pleasing the other person. Why? Because people pleasing is actually about you pleasing yourself. Because when you please other people, it pleases yourself. There's something about giving to other people that pleases you, because in some ways it gives you a sense of validation in knowing you are needed. You are loved. You are appreciated. You are seen because you are showing up. You're performing. Okay. You're giving them the razzle dazzle. You're making sure they feel acknowledged. You're giving them the full girlfriend boyfriend experience. Okay. It's not about the other person. It's not about the other person. It is always about us, because it's something within us that we're needing to be validated. And we feel like this is the quickest way to validate. So sometimes when we make a decision for ourselves, that is a tough one like this, that requires us to not please another person. And it's the pain of feeling like, yeah, we're not pleasing the other person anymore. But the biggest pain you're feeling is like, wow, now I don't feel that validation. Now I don't feel that validation of that person coming in to provide me attention or provide me love or tell me that they like those sexy pictures I sent or whichever that looked like for you in your heyday. Okay. It's like now you have to feel this energy of now I have to validate myself. Now I have to do the heavy lifting. Now I have to make myself feel grounded, supported, seen, loved, appreciated. Now I can't rely on that supply. That's a big shift. Making the right decision sometimes means being able to take a step back and like absorb the temporary discomfort and knowing that eventually you'll develop new habits and ways of grounding yourself, of regulating yourself, so you don't need this. You don't need this validation. It's frozen. Sometimes leave and come back. Leave and come back. Okay, so anything else we need to know about this relationship specifically? This divine masculine knows exactly what you want, okay? Knows exactly what you want. The song right now, Dreams. Some of you have been having dreams about this person. Some of you have been having dreams about this person. This person's been having dreams about you. But love is not a dream. Love is an action. Okay, love is an effort. Love requires commitment. Love requires insistence. Love requires dedication, determination. Okay, the feelings are wonderful. The dreams are beautiful. But the life is even better when you're both in it. When you're both in it. This person wants it. They do. They do. But they have to show that to you. They have to show that to you. And I feel like right now they have a lot of other healing, of alchemy, of other processes that they are undertaking, particularly around setting expectations for themselves that need to be completed before they come towards you. Because if someone doesn't respect themselves, how the hell are they going to respect you? If someone doesn't know how to love themselves, how the hell are they going to love you? Okay? If they're not kind to themselves, how are they going to be kind to you? Clock it. Like, think about that. This is somebody who I feel like has not truly respected themselves, has not created expectations for themselves, has been in service of others or has been supportive of others, frankly, in the same way that you were when you met them. Isn't it funny how that works? How you were vibrationally aligned and then you weren't, and now you were apart because you were showing up differently. And they are still struggling and they were working through this healing and you are giving them space in order to do so. Isn't it funny how that works? You are taking a step back so they can learn the same lessons that you have learned, because that is a gift. Isn't it funny how it works that way sometimes? Okay. Damn. Okay, what is the future for this? Damn, this collective is intense energy. Intense energy. Karmic debt is still being cleared. Saturn energy, okay? Saturn energy is domineering. Saturn is like an angry stepdad. They're a little bit extra mean. It's like, you know, there's no bedside manner. There's no bedside manner. The Saturn energy. Really tough, painful karmic lessons. Really tough, painful karmic lessons being managed on both sides. Okay, on both sides. On this person's side and on your side. It doesn't feel good. And the one thing about Saturn that is very confronting is that it requires us to recognize our power in order to be able to overcome. It's like when we go back to those times in which we felt that we lived in fear, or we were in a circumstance in which there was a dynamic that inherently disempowered us or disenfranchised us. We have to be able to revisit that and say, no, I wasn't disempowered. There was something I was learning from it, or there was something I was gaining from it. Because truthfully, you know, there is no such thing as victimization. We don't accept that victim mentality. But often in those instances, that's not how it feels. Saturn energy requires us to be able to fully assume our power. And that's not easy. That's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do to say, I'm going to not only assume this power, but I may make other people unhappy, or I may make other people uncomfortable, or I may burn bridges, or I may lose relationships, or I may lose friendships, or I may lose jobs. But I'm going to assume this power because I know it's the right thing to do. Again, we're not seeking validation outside of ourselves. Again, we're not relying on quick and easy and dirty, cheap sources of validation or supply to provide us confidence that we're making the right decisions. We have to rely on our own inner compass. Okay? That ain't easy. It ain't easy. Okay? But isn't it funny how that works? You now have this opportunity to be able to tune into that inner power and observe that inner power and own it. Because you have the space in order to do so. Okay? So let's listen to the song Taking Care of Business. Taking care of business. That's what you're doing, okay? Saturn energy. Let's take care of business here, okay? You're taking care of business in your life. You are stepping into the state of empowerment. You're stepping to this leadership energy, okay? And you are reflecting, deeply reflecting as to what you need to change. Because healing is not just about acknowledging everyone else's faults. It's about acknowledging our own faults, our own blockages, our own impediments, our own limitations, in order for us to say, what am I no longer going to project into my relationships? Because I promise you, every relationship that you're in is a mirror of where you are in your healing journey. Every relationship that you're co-signing, every soul contract that you're still a part of, is a projection of where you are. Okay? So for many of you, damn, you are taking the reins on this. Like, you are acknowledging this, and you are kicking butt and taking names. You're like, okay, Saturn, huh. That was me doing a high kick in case you can't see on camera. This is you asserting yourself in a very powerful way. Okay, a very powerful way. So final advice for this collective, continue to deeply reflect. You shall not be tempted by anything that comes forward that feels like this elusive, fantasy or something that feels like a dream. Unless it's grounded in your reality, I don't see you accepting it. And I see right now within this collective, you are being encouraged to reject any relationship, whether it's with this person or otherwise, that makes you feel anything but abundant, that makes you feel anything but special or appreciated, that prevents you from being present in your life. Because presence is priceless. They talk about, oh, this is priceless, this is priceless. What is truly priceless, what is the most valuable currency that we have, is not just time. Because time can pass us and often it gets away from us, right? Because, we're busy, we're thinking about the future, thinking about the past. But the true valuable currency is presence. Within this collective, any relationship that is infringing upon your presence is something that you're being asked to just reject, okay? Ceremoniously reject. So I hope that message was helpful for my collective. Sending so much love, positive energy, and abundance. If you enjoyed that collective message, if you received a message in that collective message, 1111 down below.